You have to understand something right now. The way you think, the way you feel, the way you act, it's not fixed. You're not wired a certain way for life. You've been conditioned, programmed, shaped by your experiences, your environment, and your own repeated thoughts. But here's the truth that most people never hear. You can rewire your brain. You can literally change the way your mind works. You can build yourself into the kind of person who doesn't hesitate, who doesn't overthink, who doesn't wait for permission. You can train your mind for massive action. And if you can do that, there is no limit to what you can create, achieve, or become. The reason most people never achieve the life they want isn't because they're not capable. It's because they're trapped inside the same loop. They've got the same thought patterns, the same emotional reactions, the same habits, running on autopilot day after day. They want change, but they're using the same mind that created their current results to try to create new ones. That's like trying to drive to a new city while following the same old map. It doesn't matter how much you step on the gas, you're still going to end up in the wrong place. If you want a different life, you need a different wiring in your brain. This is not some vague motivational idea. This is neuroscience. Your brain is not a fixed machine. It's plastic, moldable, adaptable. It's constantly making and breaking connections based on what you focus on, what you feel, and what you repeatedly do. Every time you think a certain thought, every time you take a certain action, every time you respond to life in a certain way, you strengthen that neural pathway. You make it easier for your brain to fire that same way next time. That's why habits, good or bad, are so powerful. Your brain loves efficiency, so it builds shortcuts. And the more you repeat a pattern, the more automatic it becomes. So if you've been in a pattern of hesitation, of second-guessing yourself, of holding back, it's not because you're weak. It's because your brain has wired that pattern into you. But here's the power. You can rewire it. You can teach your brain a new pattern. You can make massive action your default setting. You can make decisiveness, courage, and relentless follow through automatic. But it doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you deliberately interrupt the old pattern and replace it with a new one over and over until the new wiring is stronger than the old. Think about this. Every action you take is preceded by a state, your emotional and mental state in that moment. Or that state comes from what you're focusing on, the meaning you give it, and how you're using your body. If you wake up and you focus on what's missing, if you give it a meaning like I'm falling behind, and you slump your shoulders, lower your voice, and breathe shallow, your brain fires the wiring for procrastination, self-doubt, and avoidance. But if you wake up and you focus on what you can control, you give it a meaning like I'm built for this, you stand tall, breathe deep, and move with energy, your brain fires the wiring for courage, for possibility, for action. When you change your state, you change the wiring. And if you change it enough times, it becomes who you are. That's how you rewire for massive action. You condition your state, your focus, and your habits until taking bold, consistent action is as natural as breathing. You stop waiting for the right moment because you understand that the moment you act is the moment you create the right moment. Most people think they need to wait until they feel ready to act. That's the biggest lie your brain will ever tell you. You're never going to feel ready for something you've never done before because your brain is designed to keep you safe. It's scanning for danger all the time. And to your brain, uncertainty equals danger. So it fires the wiring of hesitation, fear, and doubt whenever you think about doing something new. If you let that wiring run the show, you'll never take the action that could change your life. You'll keep finding reasons to wait, to prepare, to research, to get just a little more clarity before you start, and the years will pass and the wiring will only get stronger. The way to break it is simple, though not always easy. You act before you feel ready. You train your brain to link action with excitement instead of fear. You condition yourself to move when the idea is fresh, when the impulse is alive. Because every time you do that, you weaken the old wiring of hesitation and strengthen the new wiring of action. And over time, the scale tips. Action becomes easier than inaction. Movement becomes more comfortable than sitting still. Momentum becomes your normal state. Now, how do you start? You start with small, simple daily actions. You don't wait for the big break. You don't wait for the perfect plan. You rewire your brain one repetition at a time. Every time you wake up and get straight to work, instead of checking your phone, you're wiring action. Every time you make the call you've been putting off, you're wiring action. Every time you say yes to the thing that scares you, you're wiring action. The more you repeat it, the less you have to think about it. That's when you know the wiring is taking over. You've got to understand that this is not about motivation. It's about conditioning. Motivation is a spark, but wiring is the system that keeps the fire burning no matter how you feel in the moment. When you wire action into your identity, you stop relying on willpower. You stop negotiating with yourself. You just do what needs to be done because that's who you are. And the beautiful thing is, the more you act, the more results you create. The more results you create, the more certainty you feel. And the more certainty you feel, the stronger the wiring becomes. That's the cycle you want to live in. But here's the catch. You've got to be ruthless about breaking the old wiring. That means catching yourself in the act of hesitation and disrupting it instantly. It means using a physical trigger, like clapping your hands, standing up, shouting a "let's go" to interrupt the pattern and force your brain into a new state. It means refusing to indulge in the mental loop of a should I or shouldn't I, because every second you spend there is another rep for the old wiring. You've got to decide fast and act faster. That's how you train your brain to see action as the default. And you've got to flood your mind with the right inputs. Your brain is constantly being shaped by what you consume, what you read, what you watch, who you spend time with. If you're surrounded by people who hesitate, who complain, who make excuses, you're reinforcing that wiring whether you realize it or not. But if you're surrounded by people who take action, who move fast, who live at a higher standard, you're forcing your brain to adapt to that environment. You can't outwire your surroundings. You have to upgrade them. The truth is, every single day you're either strengthening the wiring for massive action or you're strengthening the wiring for hesitation. There's no neutral. The question is, which one are you practicing more? Which one are you making automatic? Because your brain is taking notes. Every thought, every choice, every movement is a vote for the person you're becoming. And if you want to become the kind of person who gets results most people only dream about, you've got to vote for action over and over until there's no contest. You have to make this real. You can't just hear it and nod. You've got to embody it. You've got to feel it in your bones. Yeah, that means changing your language. Stop saying I'll try and start saying I will. Stop saying I hope and start saying I'm committed. Your words shape your wiring. When you speak in uncertainty, you wire hesitation. When you speak in certainty, you wire action. You've also got to use your body. Your physiology is the fastest way to change your state. If you're slouched over, breathing shallow, moving slow, you're firing the wiring for inaction. But if you stand tall, breathe deep, and move with intensity, you're firing the wiring for energy, confidence, and momentum. Do that enough times, and your brain starts to associate that posture and that breathing with action. It becomes a switch you can flip on demand. This is the game of life. You either master your wiring or it masters you. You either train your brain for the results you want or your brain trains you to settle for less. And the way you master it is by making action non-negotiable. You don't wait for the stars to align. You align your actions with your goals every single day. You don't ask, "Oh, what if I fail?" You ask, "What if I never try?" You don't let fear be the signal to stop. You make it the signal to go. Because fear is not the enemy, it's the compass pointing you toward growth. The life you want is on the other side of the wiring you have right now. If your wiring says to play it safe, you'll get a safe, predictable life. If your wiring says to go all in, you'll get a life of depth, growth, and impact. And the difference between those two is not talent, not luck, not timing. It's the repetitions you put in every single day to wire yourself for massive action. So make the decision right now that you're going to stop being a prisoner of your old wiring. Make the decision that you're going to train your brain, your body, and your emotions to act when it matters. Make the decision that from this moment on, you're going to live in a state of momentum. Because once you have momentum, you become unstoppable. You don't need to force it. You just keep moving. And every step you take strengthens the wiring that makes you even more capable, more courageous, more committed. This is how you take control of your destiny. You don't hope for change. You wire it into yourself. You don't wait for the perfect time. You create it by acting now, and you don't stop until massive action is no longer something you have to push yourself to do. It's simply who you are.